Good morning. Thanks for joining in. We're going to talk about creation and about time. And I'm going to begin with a quote from Douglas Adams. In the beginning, the universe was created. This made a lot of people very angry and is widely regarded as a bad move. Ha! Because of the way we were taught and what we were taught, the aforementioned quote may be offensive, as creation and all that is in it, we were taught, was created by the Creator, God. However, everything I have spoken of over the last months suggests that creation is not what we were taught or what we think. It's kind of like the Christopher Columbus story. It was all made up. We, who are seemingly part of creation, also are not what we think. So does what I've been talking about the past month mean that there is no creation as we know it? That is correct. There is no creation as we know it. Creation is not what we were taught. What we were taught is erroneous. What is out there is an ever-changing appearance of what has always been in here, the self. Now, I am pointing towards myself, what we would consider myself, this physical body. But I hope at this point you know that the physical body is not what I am referring to. It is the self with a capital S to which I refer. And it's not even in here, the body. I'm using this body as a reference point because this is what we understand. As part of this seeming creation, we give various objects separate and distinct names, but it doesn't change the reality of the situation. For instance, a wave is still water, the same water it came from, be it a lake or an ocean, even though we have given it a separate and distinct or individual name. The wave is not different than the body of water from which it came. We have parsed it out. We have isolated and separated it by our naming conventions. Otherwise, they are one and the same. They are one. They are the same. The land becomes smooth and we call it a plain. It goes up and down and we call it mountainous. It moves underground at something we call the shore, with liquid on top that we call, let's say, an ocean. Hundreds of miles away, the land resurfaces and we call that the shore once again. Everything connects with everything else until us humans start naming things, making them seem separate. We even separate ourselves through all sorts of classifications: race, creed, color, religion, and the list goes on. In our ignorance, we found a way to communicate by separating everything and everyone. But still, in reality, although an illusory reality, it is all the same. Everything is the same. Quantum physics now realizes that. But again, we are so intent on breaking down, taking apart, dividing, and subdividing what we have already divided, becoming specialists, learning more and more about less and less, until we learn everything there is to know about absolutely nothing. It's coming soon to a theater near you. And all the while we pursue the depths of less and less to the point of nothingness, we remain ignorant. There is no escaping the apparent separateness and individuality of everything in this world. This world has relative reality, and this is where we find ourselves, along with the seeming realities of time, space, and causality that we have made up in order to understand what we have made up. We are living a dream and not one that we would choose. We go to sleep at night and dream dreams that seem crazy. Then we wake up and live a life that seems crazy. We go from one state to the next, dreaming, no matter what state we're in. From waking to sleeping and back again. Same content, different form. We are beholden to our fears, our hopes, and our imaginings, all to maintain the status quo. Let's face it, we have over 65,000 thoughts on average every single day. And they were the same thoughts we had yesterday and the day before, and will be the same thoughts we will have tomorrow. So in effect, what we are living is a rerun every single day. A mental image, if you will, projected outwardly that fits our already predefined belief system. This is creation by the Creator? You really think so? I think not. We look at the outside world with our eyes, mix in all the memories we have made over the years, overlay that with our own interpretations and judgments from manas, the lower mind, and we end up seeing the same thing we have always seen. Something that is not out there, but rather what we have projected to be out there. Projection makes perception. And we actually think the Creator, which is the epitome of perfection, created this universe, this world, this life. We need to wake up, not just figuratively, but literally. The way we think things are is not the way things are. It's the way we think they are. Now, as we undertake an adventure, such as I have been talking about for months now, that is learning a philosophy different from that with which we grew up, that contains ideas vastly different from what we know. Ideas from Advaita Vedanta or Course in Miracles or Sankhya or Jainism or Buddhism, we may tend to get caught up in the phenomenal aspects of these philosophies and focus in on what is trivial to the experienced, but of seeming great importance to the novice, such as focusing in on the fact that this is an illusion, a dream, a non-reality. And sometimes it's expressed in this way. This is just a dream, don't worry about it. Or, it's all an illusion, it's not a big deal. Or, it doesn't really exist, so who cares? This is not the attitude or position to take with respect to these teachings. First of all, this world has been an illusion from the moment it came to be. That hasn't changed. What has changed and is changing is that more and more people are awakening and becoming aware of this information. Our increased awareness through sublation does not change the fact that the Creator, God, did not create this world. We made this world, not the Creator. God had nothing to do with it. God cannot create that which is imperfect, nor could He screw it up this much. Only we could mess it up to this extent. Just based on that statement should open your eyes, some of you anyway. But I know, it's all heresy and blasphemy. Again, the fact that we have recently been introduced to this information doesn't change the information. It changes our perspective, our perception, perhaps our beliefs. Once we transition from the state of disbelief at what I am teaching to one that is more at peace because, let's say, the introduction of this material is now years in the past for some of us, and we have become more mature in our understanding of this information, it's an indication that we have shifted. The seeker eventually finds comfort in the realization that the self and the divine is all there is. The rest is illusory. The progress one makes from delusion and suffering to one of peace is a process of sublation. At the most confused levels of our lives, our teens and 20s, for some 30s, we have daydreams, fantasies, hallucinations even, of what we, the ego part of us, desire. These are eventually sublated, however, by life experiences as we change our minds based on events throughout our years. Not giving up of our dreams, but we change because we have a holistic perspective. These new beliefs are further sublated by spiritual pursuits. So we are talking about creation here, and believe it or not, the world and everything in it, including these mind bodies, were never brought into existence in reality, with a capital R. Everything that we see with our eyes or hear with our ears is of an illusory nature. It doesn't exist except in appearance only. We were created in the image of God. God has no physicality. To that end, Gaudapada, a 7th century sage, wrote, "The ultimate truth is that nothing whatsoever is born. There is no dissolution, that is death, no birth, no one in bondage, no one aspiring for wisdom, no seeker of liberation, and no one liberated." What's not contained in this particular quote is this gem. That's because we are already perfect, living in perfection, aka heaven, having a dream, a bad dream for most. In the 20th century, Ramana Maharshi, a contemporary sage, stated, "There is no creation, nor destruction, no one bound, nor anyone who strives for liberation. There is no mind, no body, no world. One alone exists, the pure, calm, unchanging reality, the absolute, which has no second and no becoming." That's a lot to chew on, maybe too much. So let's transition from creation to time. Time is nature's way of keeping everything from happening all at once. That was said by Anon, A-N-O-N. But it's really not nature's way of keeping everything from happening all at once. It's the mind's way. Time is a concept, as is space, and for us, as we've set it up, it is useful and has a purpose. We use the concepts of time and space in order to make sense of the world and be able to talk about it. In fact, science now views space and time as a hypothetical. Did you hear that? Science now views space and time as a hypothetical, used to understand the phenomenal world. The phenomenal world is that which we see and experience. And so when time is mentioned, obviously the three stages of time are alluded to: past, present, and future. The past and the future have no bearing in reality, as neither thought or perception can reach them. Memories, for instance, are present thoughts of past events, while hopes, wishes, dreams, and plans are present thoughts of future desires. The present is the moment in which we drop the past and the future, but still it is bound by time. The present is bound by time. It is within the domain and constraints of time. It is the moment in time in which the illusions of Maya, the veil, are manifest. The self, the real self, however, is what's known as Trikalatita, or that which transcends the past, present, and future. In other words, the real self transcends time. In our journey, we need to learn to move from past regrets and future fears, so in other words, from the past and the future, to the present moment. The present is where it all happens, yet it is bound by time, by the way, and at some point we're going to go beyond the present to always, but that's another subject. All three, past, present, and future, all exist within the illusory concept of time. Now, I have mentioned before that we, that which is me or I, or that which is we collectively, are not the body or the mind, and that the real self transcends not only the body-mind concept, but all concepts of time and space. If such is the case, then the self transcends time. It must be outside of time, not existing within the constraints of time. Time-related ideas such as, I'm getting old, are a misidentification with the body. We are basically saying, I am the body, when we say we're getting old. And you are not the body. When we say, or rather space-related ideas such as I am here and you are there, developed from the idea that we see ourselves as separate. In fact, we are not separate. We are not separate beings existing in an insignificant body for a short period of time of 75 or so years. We are that in which time and space are conceived. We are not insignificant specks in the universe. Rather, the universe is an appearance within us. Did you hear what I said? I'm going to say that again. We are not separate beings existing in an insignificant body for a short period of time. We are that in which time and space are conceived or born. We made time and space. We are not insignificant particles in the universe. The universe is an appearance within us. The universe is within us. Carl Sagan knew that. He spoke about it on his program. Thoughts, feelings, and events come to us, stay a while, and then leave. This sequence gives us the seemingness of time, past, present, and future. Yet throughout, our awareness remains unaffected. Our true self, that is. Our true self is no past, present, or future. Our true self is us. My true self is I am. We collectively are the true self. We are the presence in which all else appears, seemingly. Thoughts are necessarily of the past. Thoughts are of the past. Once we think about an event, that which we are thinking of is already in the past. Everything we think about, ourselves, our lives, events around the world, is always about and already in the past, which is why meditation and prayer are the means to learn to enter into the timeless state of always. Always exists in eternity. Now is part of time. The present is part of time. Conventionally, events occur in the present with certain aspects determined to be relevant and hence stored away in a database called memory. As time goes by, we may recall a memory vividly. The memory may invoke thoughts and feelings such as, "Wow, that was amazing," or "I really miss her," or maybe even, "I should have done that." Most often, the memories that touch us emotionally are the ones that are remembered most frequently, memories of pain or joy that send us back to that moment in our past when the event originally occurred. No matter what memory is elicited, the so-called past is conjured up in the present. When memories are invoked, consciousness has to attend to them. A worthless pursuit, making it, consciousness, unavailable to attend to what is here and now, in the present moment. Thus, the majority of our time is spent in memory of the so-called past that doesn't exist, thereby wasting precious energy right now on something that is intangible, unhelpful, elusive, and illusory. We keep going back to the past, history, to study and learn from our mistakes. Guess what? It hasn't worked. We keep making the same mistakes. So get out of the past and start to practice being in the present. It's the only way to get out of the rabbit hole. In most situations in our lives, we respond to current events based on our memories from the past. Our brain will call up a memory that is closest to the experience we are experiencing right now and overlay the present with a memory from the past. So the memory of the event from the past supersedes what is actually occurring right now. Another indicator saying that we are hardly ever in the present, if ever. The French philosopher Blaise Pascal said the following with respect to time. The present is generally painful to us. We conceal it from our sight because it troubles us. And if it be delightful to us, we regret to see it pass away. Let each one examine his thoughts, and he will find them all occupied with the past and the future. We scarcely ever think of the present. And if we think of it, it is only to take light from it to arrange the future. The present is never our end. The past and the present are our means. The future alone is our end. So we never live, but we hope to live. And as we are always preparing to be happy, it is inevitable we shall never be so. So, what about the future? Forever looking forward to planned events that we wish to enjoy, our imaginations fill in the blanks of the unknown future with expectations. And then, when things don't quite turn out the way we had thought, surprise, surprise, we end up disappointed. And it does not seem to matter how often this occurs or how often we do this to ourselves. We will continue to do it because we are just running a program. We continually set our expectations such that we usually experience disappointment. If only we would allow things to happen, as they will anyways, and use these events as learning lessons. in the path of life. This brings us to right now. There is only the present. Understanding this is an important practical aspect of elevating from the hole in which many find themselves. Not only is our attention depleted when we are not in the present moment, but the present moment itself becomes skewed by our wandering mind as it accesses memory or its wishes for the future and attempts to recall what we did the last time, such as this and that. And we therefore miss the moment of now. What we continually forget through masterful programming is that everything happens now. When else could it happen? The consequences of this are far-reaching. If there is only now, then there cannot be any change from one state to another, from past to present to future. For change to have occurred, there would have had to have been a state in the past. But if there is only now and there is no change, there cannot be any cause to effect a change, and there can be no action to bring it about. All of these cherished beliefs are related, and as soon as one is undermined, the whole system topples. So stay with me as we continue over the next weeks and perhaps months. I am conveying a lot of what is not. But all is not lost. There is reason to remain uplifted, confident, hopeful, and joyful. There's a lot more coming. See you next time in the month of June. Thanks for joining in.